The night I found you. I will never forget the night everything changed. Maybe because it felt like the universe stopped, exhaled, and whispered my name for the first time. Or maybe because it was the first night in months that I didn't feel completely invisible. My name is Claire Anderson. And until that night, I had convinced myself that love was something that happened to other people. People who smiled easily. People who weren't afraid of being seen. People who hadn't been disappointed one too many times. But fate. Fate has the strangest timing. It was early spring in New York City, the kind of chilly evening where the air smells like rain and new beginnings. I had planned to stay home, wrapped in a blanket, hiding from the world the same way I had been doing for weeks. But my best friend Lisa had other ideas. She called me 5 times before I finally answered. "Claire, get dressed. I'm taking you somewhere," she demanded. "I'm tired," I muttered. "No, you're heartbroken. There's a difference, and I'm not letting you drown in it." 20 minutes later, she dragged me into a small book-themed cafe at the corner of Lexington Avenue. Warm light poured from the windows, the kind that makes everything look a little softer, a little safer. Inside, shelves of old novels lined the walls, and coffee-scented air wrapped around me like a hug I didn't know I needed. But what stopped me wasn't the cafe. It was him. In the center of the room, under strings of golden fairy lights, a young man played the piano, beautifully, effortlessly, like the keys belonged to his fingertips. The melody was soft, but full of emotion, and something about it tightened my chest in a way I couldn't explain. He lifted his head at that exact moment, as if he felt me watching. Our eyes met. Just a second. Just a moment. But I swear I felt it all the way to my ribs. He smiled. Small, shy, boyish. And for the first time in a very long time, I felt seen. Lisa nudged me. "That's Ethan Carter. He plays here sometimes. Cute, right?" Cute wasn't the word. He was warm, like sunlight through a window. When he finished playing, the room applauded softly. I didn't realize I was still staring until he walked toward us, toward me, with that same gentle smile. "Hi," he said, brushing a hand through his slightly messy brown hair. "I don't think I've seen you here before." His voice was calm, soothing, like he was genuinely happy to meet me. I don't usually come out much," I admitted. "That's a shame," he said. "You have the kind of presence that brightens a room." The compliment hit me harder than it should have. Maybe because no one had said anything kind to me in so long. Maybe because he said it like he meant it. Lisa somehow disappeared, typical, and Ethan asked if I wanted to sit. We talked for hours, about books, about music, about silly dreams and heavy fears. He listened like my words mattered. He laughed in a way that made me want to say more, just to hear it again. At some point, the cafe owner dimmed the lights, signaling closing time, but neither of us moved. Ethan looked at me, almost nervous. "Do you want to walk a little? I'm not ready for tonight to be over." Neither was I. Outside, the city glowed with street lamps reflecting off wet pavement. We walked without a destination, just moving through the cool night air like we were the only 2 people awake. "It's been a while since I felt this comfortable with someone," he admitted quietly. His honesty opened something inside me. Me too. We reached the small pedestrian bridge overlooking the river. The water shimmered below, rippling with reflections of light. Ethan turned toward me, closer now, close enough that I could feel his breath. "Claire," he said softly, "I don't know why, but it feels like I've known you longer than a night." My heart thudded against my ribs. "Maybe," I whispered. "Some people arrive exactly when we need them." His hand brushed mine. My fingers trembled. He intertwined them gently, like he was giving me the choice to pull away. I didn't. I stepped closer instead. His voice dropped to a whisper. "I want to know everything about you. not just the happy parts. All of it. No one had ever said something so simple yet so intimate to me. A drizzle began to fall. Soft. Cool. Ethan laughed quietly, brushing a raindrop from my cheek with his thumb. "You look beautiful in the rain," he murmured. My breath caught. The world seemed to blur around us, everything fading except him. And then, he kissed me. Not fast, not hungry, but slow. Real. A kiss that felt like someone finally turning on the lights in a dark room I'd been sitting in for too long. When we broke apart, he kept his forehead against mine. "I'm really glad you came tonight," he whispered. I smiled for what felt like the first time in months. Me too. And just like that, the girl who swore she was done with love fell in love all over again. In the middle of New York, in the rain, with a boy who played the piano like he'd been waiting for me. The next morning, I woke with a strange feeling in my chest, half excitement, half fear. I replayed every second of the night, every word Ethan said, every glance that made my heart flutter. It felt unreal, like something borrowed from a movie that wasn't supposed to happen in real life. I must have checked my phone a dozen times before I finally forced myself to stop. Don't expect anything, Claire. That's how you avoid disappointment. But at 9:17 a.m., as sunlight spilled across my bedroom floor, my phone buzzed. "Ethan, I hope you didn't get sick from walking in the rain. Also, would it be crazy if I said I already missed talking to you?" My heart stuttered. I stared at the message for a full minute before typing back. "Me. A little crazy." Then I added, "But in a good way." His reply came almost instantly. "Ethan, let me take you to dinner tonight? Nothing fancy. Just us." I didn't even think. Me. Yes. That evening I stood in front of the mirror longer than I should have, trying to decide if the dress I picked was too much, or too little, or too obvious. In the end, I chose something simple, soft blue, the color of quiet hope. Ethan waited outside my building, leaning against his car, hands in his pockets. When he saw me, his face lit up in a way that made my stomach turn into warm clouds. "Wow," he breathed. "You look like sunshine." I rolled my eyes, blushing. That's not even a real compliment. It is, if it's true. He opened the door for me, and I swear my pulse wouldn't slow down. We drove to a tiny rooftop restaurant overlooking the city. Candlelight flickered on our table, and faint jazz music drifted in the air. But the way Ethan looked at me, like he was memorizing me, was what left me speechless. "So," he said gently, resting his arms on the table, "tell me something real, something you don't tell people." The question shook something loose inside me. I hesitated. I've always been a little scared of being too much, or not enough. Ethan's expression softened. "Anyone who made you feel like that was wrong. Completely wrong." His voice was steady, warm, certain. "What about you?" I asked. He looked down for a moment. "I'm scared of losing people. My dad left when I was 10. Since then, I keep waiting for people to walk away." My chest tightened. "I'm not walking away." He looked up, and in his eyes I saw something raw, something hopeful. "Promise?" he whispered. I reached across the table and took his hand. "Promise." After dinner, we stood at the edge of the rooftop, the city glowing beneath us. The wind brushed my hair across my face, and Ethan gently tucked a strand behind my ear, his fingers lingering just a second too long. "Claire," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, "I feel like the universe shoved me into that cafe last night just so I could meet you." I laughed softly. "You're a little dramatic." "Maybe," he said, stepping closer, "but I've never meant anything more." My breath caught as he slid his arms around me. I rested my hands on his chest, feeling the steady rise and fall of his breathing, feeling the warmth radiating from him like an anchor pulling me into the moment. You feel safe, I murmured before I could stop myself. So do you, he replied. His forehead pressed against mine, and for a brief moment, the world fell into perfect, silent stillness. No fear, no past. Just us. Then he kissed me again. Deeper this time, with a softness that melted every wall I'd built around myself. His hands moved carefully, respectfully, like every inch of closeness was something he treasured. When we finally pulled apart, the city lights flickered behind him like stars. This is just the beginning, he said. And somehow, I knew he was right. Because for the first time in years, the future didn't scare me. It felt like the beginning of something warm, something steady, something real, something like love